Hello, this is Alan. Welcome back to the Surface Explorer Record YouTube series where I'm stepping you through building an application using AI using this three-part process. Now, in the first 5 episodes, we completed the business requirements and the product requirements using the Surface Explorer Record methodology. And now we're moving into the design requirements phase. So in this phase, we're going to be asking questions like, what's the navigation going to look like? What will the pages look like? What will the different modals and panels look like? What about the user experience? How does the user go through this? What's the user journey, or the data contracts? What kind of data is going to be on each page? But we're still using the same Surface Explorer Record methodology. So we'll start by surfacing decisions that we need to make using AI's help. Then once we have those decisions, we'll explore our options for each decision. And then finally, we'll record those options, record our decisions for each of those options, and feed them back to the AI to create a design requirements document along with other documents that we can use later as we go through. So now let's return to Claude Code and we'll begin building our design requirements. Okay, welcome back. So I am in VS Code with Claude Code running in a terminal. As a reminder, I'm currently not running any Claude skills. I'm not running any Claude commands. I don't even have a claude.md file. The main reason I'm doing this is I want to show you how I can direct the AI using my documents, using this three-part methodology, and you don't have to worry about, well, what is he hiding in the background? What skills or what agents or sub-agents is he using? It's nothing but the actual requirements in the software development lifecycle, the SDLC, that is directing the AI to build the app that I want to do it without the AI making these silent decisions in the background that I don't know about. So we're ready to start our design phase. Now, as a reminder, you can see here we have our business decisions, we have our business requirements document, we have our product decisions and product requirements document. Those were all created in previous episodes. Now we're ready to start our design requirement. Once again, I'm starting in a very similar way. This works throughout the entire software development lifecycle. I'm going to tell it, here are my documents, here's where you can find them, and now I want to create a design requirements document, but I don't want to start and just say build that. Instead, I want to know what kind of decisions do we need to make. So it's going to go through and look at all the documents that we already have, and it's going to give me a list of decisions that I should make at this point before we begin building the design requirements document. So while Claude goes through and reads all of the documents that we've already created, I'm going to take a break and I'll come back when it's finished. Okay, so Claude has given us a list of decisions that we need to make. We're not ready to make these yet, and we haven't asked Claude to make the decisions. This is the important part here. If you just say, hey, create a design requirements document, Claude would use the same information, but it would make the decisions for you instead of you making the decisions. So we can go through and look at our decisions, and then we can decide, are there other decisions that I want to include? Maybe there's something in specifically that I want to include in my app that Claude doesn't know about, and I may put it here. But for this application, these all look pretty good, but I want to double check. Now, one thing that we know about AI is that AI tends to be overly helpful. You ask it to do A, and it ends up being A, B, and C. This is where a lot of AI agents get into trouble, by the way, because you ask it to do step one, and it ends up doing step 1, 2, and 3 because you don't limit it and you give it the ability and the authority to do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to ask Claude, hey, can you look through these and make sure that these are all really design decisions and that they're not technical or architectural decisions. We want to limit what we're working with here. And notice what it says. Oh, yeah, it did find some things that they're really not design decisions. They're more like technical decisions. So we're going to remove those from our list. But the next thing is, once we've got those all separated, is that we want to create decision records. This is extremely important. This is the record part of Surface Explorer and Record. We want to create these decision records so that later we can go back and look at these if we have a question. Why does our UI look like this? We can go back to these decision records and say, oh, that's why. But notice that I'm telling it again, don't make the decisions yet. Just create the decision records and leave them as pending, leave them as blank, so that we can go back later step by step and make the decisions. So again, I'll come back when Claude is finished. Okay, we're back. Notice that now Claude is finished. It's created 27 files, which is all of our decision records along with an index record. I can look in my folder here and I can see each of the decisions. If I click on one, I can see that it's marked as pending. There's no decision made yet. It even says to be decided. There's no decision made yet. That's for me to make. I can go to my index and I can see here's a list of all the decisions that need to be made. Again, they haven't been made yet. Notice they're marked pending. So the next step, now that we have a list of all of our decisions, now we have a record for each one, we're going to tell Claude that we want to step through each of these decision records. Now, if you're following along, you've seen this before because the methodology works at each step. We want to go through each decision record and give us options for each decision. This is the explore part. So we have the decisions, we've surfaced the decisions, now we're going to explore them. Go through each decision, give me options. Tell me the strengths, weaknesses, and assumptions. Tell me what you recommend, Claude, and then tell me what assumptions you're making. And then we're going to, then I will make the decision, and then once I make the decision, you record it in the decision records we just did. So let's step through this. We'll start with the first one, and we'll get Claude to pull that record up. It's going to tell us about the decision, and then it's going to tell us what the different options are, and we can make the decision. So let's see what's happening. So this is the brand personality and tone. Very important, something you may not think about, but your app needs to have a certain personality and tone to match what you want it to be. So here are the options: minimal and focused, friendly and colorful, utilitarian and dense, soft and modern, and its recommendation is soft and modern. I like soft and modern. That's my preference, but I really like the idea of minimal as well. So I just want to show you this, that you don't have to take just the options. And I can say, I like soft and modern, but can we add minimal as well? So now, see, I'm making the decisions, and if I don't understand something, maybe I want to know, say, what would a soft and modern look like as opposed to something else? So now Claude is taking that decision that I made and adding it to the decision records so that we have a record of that. And when he finishes, almost finished, it's updating the index now. Okay, so now Claude has has recorded the decision for our brand and personality. It's put in what we decided, not just what it wanted to do. And so this is how we are the ones that are driving the decisions instead of letting the AI make it silently. Now I'm going to go through and make all the decision records, make all the decisions for each decision records. You don't have to stand here and watch. You'll be able to go back later in the GitHub and see what decisions I made, but I'll just come back in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back. We finished going through all of the 27 decision records, made all the decisions. I've got them recorded. I had Claude review them, make sure they're all marked decided, and they are. Now I want to show you why it's important to have these decision records. There's a document that is very important in UI, and that is a tone and voice guide. You want to make sure when you're building, when you're adding features later, when you're giving messages about your product, that the tone and voice always matches. I don't know if you've ever seen where marketing copy says one thing, and then you go in and look at an app, and it just feels completely different. Well, that's because there's no tone and voice guide. So now I'm having it create a tone and voice guide for my application based on all the decisions that we just made. So it can go through and look at all the decisions. One of those is about tone and voice, but it can look at the other decisions as well and say, okay, let's create a guide that can help us later to create those. Let's say I decide to add a feature, and I want to make sure that it matches. I'll just have it check the tone and voice guide and make sure that the messaging matches later. So I'll come right back when Claude is finished creating this guide for us. Okay, so Claude has finished creating our tone and voice guide. Let's take a look at it. Remember that anytime Claude creates a document for us, we always want to treat that as a first draft. So then I would want to go through and make any adjustments to it. And notice that it has a good description here to begin with. So I can now go through and make it sound like my own. The next part that I want to do is to show you another very important design document that you want to include in your applications. This is a document that describes all the pages, all the modals, all the panels, and the data contracts that go with those. Now, if you're doing a mobile app, it wouldn't be pages, it would be screens. So you want a document that describes all of these UI parts so that you can use that later as you're building your user interface. So I'm going to take a break again while Claude works on this, and then I'll come back and show you what this document looks like. Okay, so Claude is finished with our screen inventory document. Let's take a look at it. As you can see, it's going to list all of the screens. Here's the login page. Here's the sign up page. Here is the accept invitation page. It's going to show all the different pages, and it's going to show the data that's required by each page. So when I'm building my API endpoints later, then I know what data needs to go to each page, and I don't have to guess and assume and things like that. Everything is set right there for me. Now, remember, this should be considered a draft. I still need to check it, make sure it's right, but this is a good start. Now, there's one more thing that I want to do before I create the design requirements document, and that is this prompt. I want to tell Claude that I want to make a mock-up. Now, see, I'm a very visual person, especially when it comes to user interface and user experience. I need to see what it's going to look like. So I'm going to tell Claude to create a mock-up using just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript of what this app could look like. And I'm asking it to show me 3 different design options and 3 different color palettes that fit within my design. And this is going to give me a way to choose, again, making the decisions for myself instead of the AI making, choose what the UI will look like. Now, it's not going to work. I mean, I won't be able to log in. I won't be able to do anything with the task manager, but I'll be able to look at a few pages and see what it looks like and how it works. Now, this goes much more, it provides much more information than just something to look at. Imagine if you want to create some marketing material. You can take some screenshots of the mock-up. Imagine you want to show something like a presentation to an investor. You can take a screenshot of a mock-up and say, hey, this is what my app will look like. But this is going to take a while to run because Claude is going to have to create this HTML, CSS, JavaScript site for 9 different design and color options and several different pages. So I'll come back and I'll show this to you in a browser, and you can see what my mocked up app will look like. Okay, welcome back. Claude has finished creating our mock-up website so we can see what our app would look like. Remember, this is the design phase, so we want to make sure we have a good design. Notice that I have 3 different design options. One is called light and airy, one is called warm neutral, one is called soft contrast. I also have 3 different palettes. So I've got an indigo dusk, an ocean teal, and a dusk violet. Now, it also gives me the option of seeing the login page, the dashboard page, a board view, and then I can open a task, create task modal. I can also look at the modal for the redesigned landing page, and this would be a panel since it's connected. So you see that we have all this information. I can go through and look at all of these. I think I like the warm neutral and the ocean teal. So let's see how everything looks. That's what my login page would look like, my dashboard page. Here's my landing page panel. Here's my board, and here is my modal. So I think I like warm neutral and ocean teal. So I'm going to go over to Claude and tell it that's what I pick, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we're back in Claude Code, running in terminal in VS Code, and I tell Claude, okay, I want to use the warm neutral design option and the ocean teal color palette, and then I wanted to create a design requirements document that incorporates all of these decisions and the tone and the voice guide, everything that we've already created, and create this design document so that we can use that later in our application. So I will come back again in a few minutes after Claude does its work, and we'll look at our final document. Okay, welcome back. Claude has finished creating our design requirements document. Let's take a look. Again, we would want to go through this, review it very carefully. I realized that some people are concerned because my methodology takes more time at the beginning. People coding with AI sometimes just like to prompt an app into existence. The problem is that while that creates a really good prototype, it doesn't create a good production-ready app in the end. So sometimes slowing down at the beginning, like we're doing now, means that you can speed up the production process later, especially as you're trying to deploy it. And plus, when you're adding features and maintaining it, you have all of this documentation that helps you. So as you can see, this is a very comprehensive design requirements document. It covers everything that we wanted in it. And that concludes episode 5 of the Surface Explorer Record. Next, we're going to look at some technical requirements, and we'll begin looking at actually how we're going to build our task flow application. I hope you come back then. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you later.